What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2021-22 season. In this one, guys, we'll talk about the Game Week 11 preview. Now, there's some burning questions like which Chelsea fullback to go for, or whether a double up is worth it, what to make of Conte becoming a Spurs manager, and how does that impact the likes of Kane and Son. We'll also talk about the West Ham attackers like Benrahma and Antonio, and a few possible replacements for managers trying to sell. Now, just a small request before we start, guys, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well if you're new around here, and let's get into it. So guys, we'll start up with the fixture review. Now, first fixture this weekend is Southampton versus Aston Villa. Now, in general, guys, I think Southampton have done decently well. I think the Armstrong-Adams combination did okay. They both played well in their last games. And guys, I think Southampton is at least looking good from an attacking perspective. Now, I don't think so I can say the same for Aston Villa, guys. They're not looking strong at the back. I think Dean Smith is chopping and changing systems a lot. And that is really disturbing the effectiveness of the squad, guys. I think Ings and Douglas Luiz, they might also miss the game. And that could make things a bit tricky for Villa. I still have a feeling that Villa have enough to score against the Saints. I think it's going to be a close one. Coming to the next game, guys, it's Manchester United versus Man City. It's the Manchester derby. Guys, I think it could be a close game. It could be a low scoring one. I don't think so both teams would want to concede a lot, and I don't see many goals in this game, guys. There could be a high chance, and I'm really being very honest, guys, here. I think there could be a high chance that United might go 3 at the back with wingbacks Shaw and Van Bissaka. Now, in general, what we've seen from United against the trickier oppositions, guys, they play the counter-attacking game, and we could see something similar from Man United this game. I think City will dominate proceedings, they will keep the ball, they will keep possession, and I think they will try to attack as much as they can. Now, Brentford versus Norwich. Guys, I think Norwich are looking really bad. I'm generally expecting a better performance from Brentford of what they showed against Burnley. I think the manager would need a response and they would play a lot better in this game. I understand that Brentford is missing a couple of players, guys, and I think that could make things really interesting. In general, I think Buemo is going to be back, and I think him and Tony against a Norwich defense, that really spells of FPL points. Coming to our next game, guys, it's Chelsea versus Burnley. I think it could be a long night for Burnley. I think Chelsea is the informed team. I know Lukaku and Werner are nearing a recovery, but I think Havertz could easily still play false nine. Of course, Chelsea have a lot of attacking options in their team. Generally, they've looked very strong at the back. Plus, the wingbacks are looking very attacking, guys. They are getting goals. I think that is something that we've not really seen last season. The likes of James and Chilwell, the way they are playing, the way they are finishing the football, I think it spells really good returns for the Chelsea team. Talking about the next fixture, guys, Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Now, Palace has looked really strong this season. They've not looked the Palace of old. They have a lot of options in attack. They had the likes of Gallagher, Zaha, Edward, Benteke, and now even Eze's come back into training, and that could make things really interesting. I think it's a pretty evenly matched game, and I generally feel Palace look a lot better defensively. They are a lot more organized. Even in attack, you can see the harmony. You can see what Vieira has done with the team. I think Wolves also have a couple of decent players in Jimenez and Wang who are in form, but I think defensively they're not as solid as the Palace team. Now next we have Brighton versus Newcastle, guys. Newcastle have looked really bad in defense, and it's been surprising because since Bruce's departure, they've generally been very defensive, and it's very unlike Newcastle this season. Their attack is still okay, and I think that should favor Brighton. Guys, Brighton have a lot more solidarity at the back. They are a good defense. They have a good keeper. And I think Brighton could keep a clean sheet in this one. I'm not sure whether Mope is going to play or Trossard probably is going to play a false nine like the last game. But I think things could be really interesting for Brighton in this one. Next, we have Arsenal versus Watford, guys. Arsenal have really turned it around. The system is definitely working under Arteta, guys. The defense is looking good with the likes of White and Gabriel now partnering in the center. I think attack is also working with Oba playing up front ahead of Lacazette. And I think ESR and Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka, guys, they're looking also pretty good. They are playing generally on the wings. Sometimes ESR also plays that number 10 role, but I think he's been very good, guys. On the other hand, Watford have looked very bad in defense. I think King is the only decent option in attack, and he could become an option, especially when the fixtures get a bit easy. Right now, Watford are, of course, a team to avoid. Then we have Benitez versus Conte, guys. We have Everton versus Spurs. Now, Everton have played really badly in the last two games. They have struggled. I understand that they are missing a couple of key players. They don't have DCL, they don't have Doucouré. Even Lucas Digne is missing. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how they turn up against Spurs, who themselves will be on a new manager bounce, will be having Conte on their side for the first game. And I generally think both teams would want to go for it I think Son has looked the better Spurs attacker, and if you're looking to target a Spurs player, I think it should be him in terms of current form. Of course, the wingbacks could also come into play, especially when Conte plays a back three, but we'll discuss more of that in our Spurs section in this video. Now, Leeds versus Leicester, guys. Leeds have been very poor in defense. They are struggling in attack as well without the likes of Bamford and Phillips. I think Rafinha is definitely carrying the attack, but it's nothing more, to be very honest. Leicester, on the other hand, guys, they're also improving in attack, but they still look very vulnerable at the back. They just don't scream confidence in terms of keeping clean sheets, and that's my worry for this one. In general, guys, I think Tielemans has been doing really well. He scored a couple of great goals. I think the introduction of Iheanacho as the second striker up front with Jamie Vardy has definitely changed things for Brendan Rodgers, and I think Daka is a very suitable replacement in terms of Iheanacho. Coming to our final game of the week, guys, it's West Ham versus Liverpool. Now, Liverpool did struggle in defense against Brighton. I think West Ham could definitely get something in this game, guys. Of course, from an attacking perspective, Liverpool still look the best team in attack. Guys, Salah, Mane, Firmino and Jota, they've looked a class apart this season. West Ham also, guys, are showing decent form. They are showing top 4 form at least, and they're playing really well with the likes of Antonio, Bowen and Benrahma, chipping in with attacking returns. So this was the fixture review, guys. These are all the fixtures for this week. And now let's look at the next topic for this video. We'll be talking about the Chelsea defenders in this one. Now, of course, Chelsea have been doing really well in defense. I know there are a couple of safe options which a lot of people went for. They went for the likes of Rudiger and Azpilicueta. But guys, the rise of a Reece James and a Ben Chilwell have made things really interesting for the Chelsea team, guys. Now, there's a lot more attacking upside that you can target. Of course, James and Chilwell both are a little bit risky in terms of rotation. They could easily get rotated in the team, but I think that's the risk you generally take with them. In terms of the table, you can easily see that James has been a clear top in terms of XGI, guys. He's got 4 goals. He's also got a couple of assists to his name as well. And I think he could be a really good option going forward. Now, I know a lot of people were very high on Alonso, but I think he's kind of lost that place to Chilwell. I don't think so he's going to take it back, at least from Chilwell in the Premier League. I think in terms of Premier League, Chilwell is looking pretty set. In terms of centre-back, guys, if you want to play really safe, Rudiger still represents decent value. You know, he's not very expensive. He's slightly cheaper than the likes of Azpilicueta and Chilwell. And he's also doing decent in terms of XGI and minutes per XGI. Of course, he's not a goal-scoring defender. Of course, he's not a defender who creates a lot of chances. But his numbers still look pretty okay. So guys, if you want to go very safe, then go for Rudiger. Otherwise, I think there's decent merit in even replacing someone like a Azpilicueta with a James or a Chilwell in your team, guys. I know a lot of people are talking about a double up as well, and I think there's decent value in going for a James plus Chilwell combination. If you want to make it a little safer and if you want some cover, you can also go for Chilwell and Rudiger as a double up. I think that's the safer option, but if you are okay taking a bit of a risk, then James plus Chilwell, that looks really promising, very attacking, guys. Now you might ask whether triple up is worth it or not. I think a triple up is a bit too much at this stage. I think a lot of people are a little late on the likes of James and Chilwell. In isolation, they look very good picks still, but at least I won't triple up on these assets now. And finally, in terms of favoring which one among James and Chilwell, guys, I think James for me looks like the standout option. I know a lot of people are talking about him rotating with the likes of Azpilicueta, guys, but I don't see that as an option. I think he doesn't have a lot of competition on that side. He's also a better crosser of the ball than someone like a Chilwell. And especially when Lukaku returns, guys, I think that's going to make things very interesting. I think James will be putting in a lot of balls, will be putting in a lot of crosses for someone like a Lukaku who generally needs service. I think he overall looks like the better option. Alonso could still share minutes with Chilwell. I think it's still not 100% clear, and I think he could miss the odd game, which again James also might. But in general, I think James looks like the better pick, and I think at least for my team, I'll be looking to get him in place of Azpilicueta. Now let's get to the next section, guys. Are Spurs assets worth it? And with the signing of Antonio Conte in their team as the new manager, what will happen with the Spurs players? Guys, if you're not aware of this, Tottenham have signed Conte as the new manager. Now, I rate Conte as one of the top managers in the world. Guys, he's a brilliant coach who sides are tailor-made according to their strengths and weaknesses. Now, we all know that Conte is known for his 3 at the back system, at least from his Juve days, which he also played later at Chelsea and then finally at Inter Milan, guys. You can't really see that he only plays a 3-man back. He did try a 4 at the back system when he first arrived at Chelsea, guys, but I think he didn't have a lot of success with it, as the team kind of looked out of ideas, and then he went back to that 3-man back, and the rest is history, guys. It was nothing short of a miracle. He switched to a back three at Chelsea. He played Marcus Alonso as the left wing back. And guys, Victor Moses, I still don't know how that guy played right wing back. I think Chelsea went on to win 13 league matches in a row and ultimately won the league with most wins in a single campaign. Now, after kind of moving out of Chelsea, he went to Inter Milan. He was wanted by the team. Inter Milan were a team who were always involved in the top 4 battle to qualify for the Champions League. But guys, he wanted the team to win the title, to break that Juventus domination, and he was able to do that. He almost came very close in his first season. He just lost out to Juventus by a single point. Then he finally managed to win the league in his second season, and that was quite comfortable, guys. Now, talking about his system and what happened at Inter Milan, I think he never shifted away from his preferred 3 at the back formation in the league. I know he preferred many variations of a 3-5-2 formation. He sometimes went with a defensive midfielder in a 3-1-4-2, and other times he went with an attacking midfielder in a 3-4-1-2. I think his most used formation though was the one which had a defensive midfielder in the system. I think Brozovic usually played that role for Conte. He generally dropped deep to link the defense and midfield, enabling the wingbacks Hakimi and Perisic to stay high up on the pitch, ready to attack anytime. Now the other two central midfielders were more advanced, particularly Barella, who was the most advanced midfielder, joining the attack with his late runs in the box. As always guys, in this system the wingbacks pushed very high up on the pitch, especially Hakimi from the right wing back, who managed 7 goals and 10 assists in the league. Now we know that Conte prefers his central defenders to be comfortable on the ball as he looks to build from the back. I think we could see something similar at Spurs as well. Now guys, what would happen with Kane and Son under Conte? I think Kane and Son, they both could thrive under Conte and they could be FPL gems in the coming time. With the two strikers up front, mostly Romelu Lukaku and Martinez, they generally developed a good relationship. The pair was involved in a massive 61 goals out of the total 89 they scored, and with that Lukaku scoring 24 and getting 10 assists, and Martinez managing 17 goals and 10 assists of his own. I think in general one of the strikers drops a little bit deep to collect the ball while the other stays up on the pitch. I think something which a certain pair of Kane and Son that could do really well, guys. I know we're expecting a 3-man back formation at Spurs as well. I think Conte would not really move out from that 3-man back. He's very comfortable playing in that formation. Overall, I feel a 2-striker system would really benefit Spurs, and Son and Kane already have a great partnership. As we saw last season, guys, a 3-4-3 also could be a possibility, but I don't think so with the likes of Moura, Bergwijn taking up that additional role up front. I don't think so that's going to happen. In central midfield, guys, we'll see Højbjerg playing as a CDM role with Ndombele and Lo Celso. They're playing as more advanced midfielders in the formation. Now, when it comes to wingbacks, guys, I definitely can see Reguilon doing a good job for Conte as a left wing back. I think he did a similar role at Sevilla as well before his transfer to Tottenham, and I think he could be very comfortable in this position. On the other side, guys, that's a bit tricky because they have Emerson Royal, Tottenham have Royal, who could make a case for right wing back position, although they also have Matt Doherty, but I'm not very confident in Doherty's ability right now. Yes, he did play a similar role at Wolves, but I think it's still a little bit early to call that. The major position, guys, where it gets a bit tricky is the centre back spot. I think there's not really a ball playing centre back at Spurs right now. I think Conte could prefer Tanganga as the right centre back and Romero as probably the main centre back in the 3 at the back system. For that left centre back, guys, we could see Dyer or maybe even Davis play in that role. I'm not really sure about that. Spurs generally have a lot of options at the back. They're not very promising, not very confidence giving, but I think I'll be very interested to see what Conte does with this position. In general, guys, I think Conte is a huge pull for Tottenham. I think Nuno's sacking was also kind of triggered because Conte was available at this time and he was willing to join this time around. I'm pretty sure, guys, Spurs are going to be better on the field, and a certain Antonio Conte is definitely going to make sure of that. Of course, he's one of the top coaches in the world, guys. I think for fantasy managers, this appointment, I think, could bring a lot of excitement. There'll be a lot of options at the back and in the front again, particularly Kane and Son, guys. I know it's a little wait and watch for now. Maybe we should watch out for a couple of games, maybe at least one game before getting on to those players, before getting on to the likes of Son and Kane, because at least it'll be 1 week worth of data, and I think that could be very crucial in understanding which one to go for, whether you go for Kane, whether you go for Son. On current form, on how the system has progressed right now, I think I would go for Son, but I think things could very well change again under Conte. And guys, it'll be interesting to see how Conte plays both of them together, but I think I'm very, very excited for both. Son, I think he could be a great cut price option, playing as a striker and getting at the end of Kane's through passes if Kane kind of drops a little deeper and tries to play the attack. Now let's talk about the final section for this video, guys. What to do with West Ham attackers, Benrahma and Antonio. Guys, I think Benrahma looks like an easy sell for me, especially with the other budget midfielders showing form. But I think I'll still want to keep Antonio. In general, I think very few forwards are delivering at the moment, guys. And the form that West Ham are in, guys, you wouldn't really bet against them scoring well even in the tougher fixtures. As I said, guys, Antonio looks like a far more difficult decision. He's top across all measures on the ICT index, guys, and to be honest, I'm not sure who I'll go with if I sold him. Yes, there are a couple of key forwards who are underperforming. However, the next two fixtures for Ivan Toney look really great. So if selling Antonio, you should definitely look at Ivan Toney as a replacement. Still, I think Antonio is a tough call, guys. Well, I'd like to move him out for the West Ham fixture run. But again, I can bench him for those trickier games. I can even play him in those difficult matches because he generally scored against these kind of teams last season. And this season, we could see a similar story. I know, guys, a lot of people would have invested money, would have had a lot of money in Antonio kind of tied up. And if you want to get him back at a later stage for the easier run of fixtures, and if you probably cannot make that move, cannot afford him now, then probably you should just keep him in your team and bench him. I think with Benrahma, you don't get that threat. You have a lot of options to kind of move from Emil Smith Rowe. You can also take a punt on Maxwell Cornet. I know he's playing from Burnley, which is probably not as attacking as an Arsenal team right now, and you probably won't have that much confidence in a Burnley attack as compared to the Gunners. But still, if you want to take a punt, guys, Cornet could still be an option, but the standard option kind of looks Emil Smith Rowe, who's very cheap in this category. Now, another strategy could be to go for someone like a Son. You probably save that money, you downgrade an attacker like a Vardy, and then you get someone like a Toney, for example, and then you try to get to Son with this Benrahma pick. Of course, there are different variations to kind of choose in attack as well. Let's say if you let go of Antonio, you could go for someone like a Ronaldo or a Harry Kane with a little bit budget in your bank, and you could possibly downgrade some midfielders as well. Guys, I think at the end of the day, there's no correct way of playing the game. I think you can very well argue a case for keeping them or even for selling them. But I think selling Benrahma and going for a cheaper option or possibly looking for Son looks like the move here. And probably just holding Antonio for a couple of fixtures, see how he performs, see even if he's fit to kind of go ahead and then make those tough calls for the forward spot. Guys, currently I'm an Antonio owner and I'm pretty happy to hold him for the time being. Yes, I know West Ham have poor fixtures, but the team is in good form, guys. They've just scored 4 against Villa, and I think with most forwards faltering, that's a very important point. With not a lot of other options in that price category, maybe even lesser, who are doing really well, I think he's an easy hold with his current underlying numbers. So guys, that'll be all from my side. I really hope you find this video helpful in planning your upcoming transfers and setting up your team for Game Week 11. Make sure you hit the like button, guys, if you liked our Game Week preview video. That'll help us reach more people on YouTube and help many more FPL managers like you. Also consider subscribing to the channel as well if you're new around here. Guys, now we'll be back for the team selection. Post that, we'll also have our deadline stream on deadline day, guys. This will be an hour and a half before the deadline like the usual. So do join us if you have any last minute questions or transfer queries. All the best to all FPL managers, guys. Enjoy your week and I'll see you in Saners next time.